on Wednesday, July the 13th, 2016. Board members present. To my left is Roy Akery, the fire chief, and to his left is Scott Stokes, the director of public works. Christiana Craddock is the executive assistant to the city administrator, and she will be taking the official meeting minutes. First item is a public hearing. Variance request V16037, allow reduction of front setback from 35 feet to 23 feet for the construction of an addition to a single-family residence. Land lot 488, 0.37 acres, 2761 Guthrie Street. Thomas Rajeski is the applicant. Can you step to the podium, please? And for the record, can you state your name and tell us about your variance request this morning?
Good morning, everybody. I'm Thomas Rajeski, Tom Rajeski, and I live at 2761 Guthrie Street. It's a small house, little brick ranch I bought a number of years back. And bought it, and then it was a rental for a while, and now I've moved back into it and grown to love the house and love the area. We want to expand it. Right now it's 1,400 square feet. If we can build the addition off the front, that'll add 500 square feet, bringing it up to 1,900 square feet. We'd get a living room, and we'd use the existing living room we have now as a dining room, which would be nice to finally have a dining room for family dinners. And it would include a big front porch, which would look real nice from the street.
Any questions for the applicant? All right, thank you. At this time, we'll have questions, comments rather, by staff, and you can take a seat.
Okay, thank you.
Front row.
Good morning, Joey Stobbs, Planner 2 with Community Development. The applicant's requesting a variance to reduce the front setback from 35 feet to 23 feet at 2761 Guthrie Street. The subject property has a single-story brick ranch home on the property, approximately 1,400 square feet. It's zoned R15, and the minimum house area in R15 is 2,000 square feet. So this variance request allows the applicant to bring the home closer to the 2,000 square foot minimum area. It'd be just below that at about 1,900 square feet. The applicant's proposing to add a living room and front porch to the front of the home. The front of the home is about 39 feet from the front property line currently. And with this 16 by 20 addition, it will be 23 feet from the front property line. There's a variety of setback distances on Guthrie Street. Some of the newer homes in the Parkview Village subdivision have 20-foot front setbacks. So this would not be totally out of character if it were approved. We've posted signage on the property, and the applicant has notified the adjacent properties. We've heard no complaints from the adjacent neighbors, and so after our review, we've recommended approval of the request with one condition: that approval of the requested variance shall be conditioned upon the development of the property in substantial compliance with the site plan and elevation submitted with the variance application.
Any questions for the staff? Mr. Rajeski, do you accept the condition as stated? And can you speak up, come to the podium, please? Do you accept the one condition as stated?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
This is a public hearing. If anyone else would like to speak regarding this issue, I ask that you please step to the podium at this time. Seeing no one, I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
Motion to approve variance request V16-037, allow the reduction of the front yard setback from 35 feet to 23 feet for the construction of an addition to a single-family residence, land lot 488.37 acres, 2761 Guthrie Street, with a condition that the approval of the requested variance shall be in substantial compliance with the development of the property with the site plan and elevations submitted with the variance application.
Second motion.
There's been motion and properly second that we approve variance request V16037. All in favor, please vote. I'm missing one. All right, motion passes unanimously. Next item is a public hearing, variance request V16038. Allow reduction in minimum floor area from 2,000 to 1,602 square feet, land lot 445, 0.70 acres, 910 Pat Mill Road, Habitat for Humanity of Northwest Metro Atlanta Incorporated. Is anyone here from that organization? And for the record, can you state your name and tell us about your first variance request, please?
Good morning. My name is David McGinnis. I'm the president of the Habitat for Humanity of Northwest Metro Atlanta. Mm-hmm. We have purchased the property fronting on Pat Mill Road, and we're requesting to remove the old dilapidated house that's there and build the home that we have submitted with the plans for the variance request, which would be, as you have in your agenda, 1,602 square feet.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant?
These are going to be similar to the ones just up the street that were built not too long ago.
This one is adjacent, yes, sir. It's tangent to the ones that we've built last year.
All right. At this time, you can have a seat on the front row, and we'll have our staff make comments. Joey Stobbs, please.
The applicant is requesting a reduction in the minimum floor area from 2,000 feet to 1,602 square feet at 910 Pat Mill Road to build a new single-family home. There's currently a older structure there on the property that they will demolish and then, if approved, build a new 1,600 square foot home. This and the next request are it's two properties, but together they combine to touch Pat Mill and Wells Circle. They're currently one's 0.7 acres and the other is 0.26 acres, with sort of separate from this request, but dealing with the development of the property. They will amend the property boundary to make this property 0.49 acres and the other request 0.47 acres. They are requesting the allowance of a reduction in the minimum house size from a aerial survey and from a survey of the county tax assessors information. We determined that the homes in this area range 1,200 to 1,600 square feet, with the average being 1,253 square feet. So this request to 1,600 square feet would be above the average, and it would be it'd be consistent with the character of the existing homes. There's no other variances needed for this request. It's just the reduction in house size. The existing home is about 678 square feet, so 1,000 square foot larger than what's currently there. We've posted signage on the property, and the applicants notified the adjacent properties. Have not heard any comments from the neighborhood, and therefore we've recommended approval of this request.
And there are no conditions?
No conditions.
Okay. Any questions for the staff? Okay. This is a public hearing. If anyone would like to speak regarding this issue, I ask that you please step to the podium at this time. And good morning. Can you state your name, please?
My name is Gary Nelson, and I live at 872 Chrysler Avenue. And I am in opposition to changing the square footage. I would rather see the houses as the zoning for the R15 requires. There are other homes in the area that are 2,000 square feet, and in some in excess of 2,000 square feet. there's two of them right there on Pat Mill Road. They're not within the city limits, but they're across the street, just down the street from it, that are way more than 2,000 square foot. And each of these lots will be almost a half of a acre lots. There's no good reason why you should change this and allow 1,600 square foot homes to be built on these two lots. They'll be almost a half acre lots. It used to be just the way that the zoning calls for. And I also would like to see, if some house is built there, I would not want them to have parking in the front the way the other two homes are built. The people that are living there park more than 2 cars at the ones adjacent to it. They park and block the sidewalks, and they park on the grass. The parking on these houses needs to be behind the houses, or the houses need to be set back far enough from the street to where they will not be blocking the sidewalk and parking on the grass. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
My name is Randy Jordan, and I live at 837 Wells Circle. And I'm opposed to the variance. I agree with Gary that we need to maintain the R15 code as stated. I'm also concerned that if this becomes a Habitat for Humanity community, as this will be the 4th in that area, that it will limit the potential development and desirability of the property for other developers. I've lived in the area for over 20 years at that residence. I'm an admirer of Habitat for Humanity, and I see that they're a very honorable organization. And that's one reason why I believe they should maintain that 2,000 square foot to protect the neighbors that live there for the potential development. And that's one reason why many residents in the area have stayed in that area, because of the development of Belmont Hills and the encroachment north, and I'm getting ready for retirement. I want to maintain the value and grow the value of my property. So I would like to welcome Habitat for Humanity into the neighborhood if they maintain the square footage and they address the parking. Because as Gary, my neighbor, said, the cars block the sidewalk. They really need to address these houses, how they situate on the property, to protect and to be good neighbors. So I'm opposed to the square footage reduction, and would like to stress that the layout and the design of the property needs to be thought through, and not just a house crammed in there as they have done on the other 2 houses there. Thank you.
I had a question for the applicant, Mr. McGinnis.
Yes.
I understand that as an organization, there's a lot that goes into the design and the square footage of the homes and things. Can you talk a little bit about we've heard the 2 gentlemen in opposition with regard to the parking, with the suggestion that parking's in the rear. I'm not a builder. I know that that's not a typical thing that we see, and it's probably because of the difficulties in a front load house on a traditional half-acre lot. Can you speak to some of their concerns with regard to the parking in the back? I just can't, to do that, obviously, there would have to be, more impervious surface, paving around the back, which would take away from the backyard and increase the impervious surface requirements and those types of things.
Sure. In regards to the parking, to my knowledge, we have had no complaints either from the neighbors or the city in regards to parking, so I cannot address that. As far as putting the parking to the rear, we certainly can do that if it's in the best keeping of the community. It obviously enhances the cost of the structure. But the houses that we're building, with the exception of the houses further down the street and to the right, the gentleman is speaking with, which is a small percentage of the community, our houses would be equal or greater than the houses that are currently in the community. As far as limiting the development, the potential of the area, I believe our houses, and hopefully you have access to the pictures that we build, our houses hopefully will complement the community rather than detract. But if it's the wisdom of the city that we move the parking to the rear, we certainly can do so. Our intent is to improve the community and complement the community, not to detract.
Thank you.
Got a question for staff. So what has staff determined as being the hardship with respect to this variance?
Well, that we have a minimum standard, but there's an average that's been less than that, and with infill development and zoning on older properties, it's not always a cookie cutter solution, or things don't always work within that vacuum of what our requirements are. So we see that being as larger than what the average house size is, and we take that into consideration, and that's, to us, the hardship is that the average is less than what our minimum is.
So the applicant, that's the applicant's hardship conveyed to you? Or is that the hardship that you're trying to determine with this particular variance?
That's the hardship as we see it. There's no narrative that within the application that states that.
But realistically, moving these lot lines, the lots, but still comply with the R15 zoning, the lot sizes.
Yes.
And the minimum house size for an R15 zoning is what?
It's 2,000 square feet.
And can a 2,000 square foot home fit on this lot as they carve it out?
Yes, it should.
Do you know off the top of your head what future land use designates in this particular area?
I don't. I imagine it's low density residential.
What are do you know off the top of your head, and maybe the applicant does, the home sizes, the two other Habitat homes that are adjacent to this particular variance?
Yes, sir. They're in the 1,500 square feet.
Speaking to the mic, please.
I believe the adjacent homes are in the 1,500 square foot range.
Did we, and I guess both of y'all need to be up. These are. Did they ask for a variance for the other two lots?
Yeah, that lot needed to be subdivided, and that therefore went to mayor and council for approval, but it wasn't through the variance process, but through an approval process.
So that was a subdivision process with respect to. So realistically, the other two are RADs, conditionals.
No, because the minimum lot standards were met. It was just when we go through a subdivision process to subdivide property, you have to go through the process of getting approval through the Planning and Zoning Board and Mayor and Council.
And through that process for the other properties, I'm assuming that the square footage being under 2,000 was discussed, and obviously it was approved because the houses exist.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It is true that most of the houses, the majority of the houses around there are 1,600 or less square footage. I own two houses, 872 and 864 on Chrysler Avenue, and during the years since I've owned those two houses, I have added to both of those houses. Many of the houses, most of the houses in there are not the same square footage that they were when they were originally built. Every year, another house in that neighborhood gets another addition, and the houses, they're adding to the existing square footage every year in that neighborhood. There's one right now that's right around the corner that's being added to, and they're building it bigger. And if that process will probably continue, so that the minimum square footage of all the houses, the average square footage is growing every year in that neighborhood because of additions that people are building onto their houses.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant or for the staff? Well, at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
Before I make the motion, I just want to make a comment with respect to all testimony that we've heard. I definitely hear those concerns. I've personally seen the products that Habitat has brought forth over the years here in the city of Smyrna. And because of the quality of the product that they deliver, and because I believe that this is going to be an improvement to the area, I'm going to make a motion to approve variance request V16-038 to allow reduction in minimum floor area from 2016-02, land lot 445, 910 Pat Mill Road for Habitat for Humanity in Northwest Metro Atlanta.
It's been motioned. May I have a second? Okay. I'd like to second the motion, please. All in favor, please vote. All right, it's been approved 2-1. Motion passes. Next item is a public hearing, variance request V16040, allow reduction of impervious surface setback from 75 feet to 65 feet for construction. Did I skip one? Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. Pardon me, please. Public hearing, variance request V16039, allow reduction in minimum floor area from 2,000 to 1,574 square feet, land lot 445, 0.26 acres, 903 Wells Circle, Habitat for Humanity of Northwest Metro Atlanta, Incorporated. And if you can tell us about this variance request, please.
My name is David McGinnis. I'm the president of Northwest Metro Atlanta Habitat for Humanity. We purchased the property that fronts both on Wells Circle and Pat Mill Road with the intent of building two homes on the acreage. What we're looking for here is the variance to put a home on the property per the discussion we've had before on the house size of 1,574 square feet. This likewise is conducive to the properties that are on and adjacent to the property on Wells Circle. The existing home that are there, or the home that is there, is in bad disrepair. We cannot rehab it. It's falling in, so we'll be tearing the home down and replacing it with the proposed home.
Any questions for the applicant? Okay, the staff wants to make comments about this one.
This request is to reduce the minimum floor area from 2,000 square feet to 1,574 square feet at 903 Wells Circle. It has another address, 118 Wells Circle, but it's not sequential, and I don't know where that comes from, so I've reassigned it this 903 Wells Circle just for clarity. This is identical to the previous request. The same analysis, same rationale applies to this as the previous one. There's a dilapidated structure on the property currently, as with the previous. I don't think anyone was living in either structure, so we welcome redevelopment of this property and think it'll be an improvement to what's currently there. The existing structure is about 1,100 square feet, and that was built in 1956. So with that, we've recommended approval of this request with no conditions.
Any questions for the staff?
Joey, back to my original on the last variance.
Yes, sir.
What has been determined to be the hardship on this particular variance request?
Same answer. We've approved similar requests such as this before, and it's no different than the previous approvals. So on that basis, we recommended approval.
And maybe this is a question for the applicant, but in this particular house, the square footage is even less, or is less than the one that's going to be on Pat Mill. I mean, what's the reason for that? Just a different house plan?
Different house plan. We didn't want to build them exactly alike. That's the only major difference.
Okay.
On this one, would you consider moving the garage to the back to address the gentleman's questions or concerns earlier in regards to parking?
The parking, the lot will be wide enough and deep enough that would not create a problem. We can put the parking wherever we need to.
Okay.
But to my point, Wells Circle is a dead end. And so there's only one gentleman that will be impacted. The city owns the property across the street. So there will be very limited access and traffic in and out of the area. But if it's the wisdom of the committee, we will certainly do whatever.
Okay. This is a public hearing. If anyone would like to speak regarding this particular variance request, I ask that you please step to the podium at this time.
My name is Randy Jordan. I live at 837 Wells Circle. Here again, I'm opposed to this. This is now inside the community of the Elizabeth subdivision, which at one time it was called. Now we're getting right next to my house. And I really am opposed to the variance. If they're going to change and not make the houses the same, then let's increase the square footage of the house to meet that zone requirement. We're wanting, just because a Habitat for Humanity house is an improvement to the neighborhood, doesn't mean that that's the improvement we aspire to. We aspire to a better than the at least maintain the 2,000 square foot. You're getting inside the community. There are many neighbors of mine that I've talked to, and I only discovered this sign taking a walk up to the dead end just a few days ago. So I've talked to many of my neighbors that would be here if they didn't have to work. And I'm willing to do a petition, do whatever it takes. The one on Pat Mill Road, it's going to be next to 2 other habitats, and if they can improve the parking on that one, at least that's an improvement. But you're getting inside a community where people live, and there is a zoning requirement for that. The only hardship is because that's the size of house they want to build. That's not a hardship. Let them prove a hardship. The lot is big enough, I know it is, for a 2,000 square foot house. I know the square footage requirements for impervious area, driveways, roofing, etc., etc. They can maintain the zoning requirement on that lot without a hardship. And to say that it is a hardship because they just want to, because it makes sense and that's the house we want to build, that's not a hardship. That's a preference, and that is trying to impose upon a community a change in a zoning that the community in that area don't want. And I don't know what the appeal process is, because it sounds like, whatever we want, the city may do anyway. I hope you listen to your residents and the people who live in that community, but this is important to us. It may be a neglected community. We have problems in that little neighborhood that we hope that one day will be fixed. We have duplexes along Wells Drive that is a nightmare. But we've been in that community for a long time, and we're hoping for the best. And please, if there was a hardship, I could understand that. And to use the argument that it's an improvement is a weak argument. And to show that, to claim that building a smaller house is a necessity of a hardship is a fabrication. So please listen to the community. We do not want this, and I can produce a petition showing that the homeowners in that area want to maintain the R15 value to requirements to maintain our value and in investments in our property. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
I agree with what Randy just said, and like I say, there is no good reason to doing it. And I know this is hearsay evidence, but I've talked to many people that can't make it here, and most of the neighbors are in agreement that it needs to stay the R15 2,000 square foot. And like he says, if we need to get a petition up, then that's probably what we'll have to do. Thank you.
Thank you. This is a public hearing, yes.
My name's Travis Petruzza. I have no opinion, honestly, on this thing. I did just want to speak. I think I have some special knowledge. We're talking about the hardship of people that maybe I can articulate. I worked with Habitat Humanity as a financial counselor in the past, volunteer, so I'm not affiliated with the organization, but they are typically serving underserved communities. These are people who are generally working people, upstanding citizens, trying to do the right thing, like own a home, be a part of a community, and asking them to maintain a third more home, furnish it, maintain it, heat it, air condition it, upkeep it, and all those things could be a hardship on that particular community. So again, I don't know this neighborhood. I don't know if it fits, if this is sticks out like a sore thumb in that neighborhood. But I think as far as, what's the hardship that would be required here, just having worked with the individuals who are part of these programs personally, I think that's the hardship. Again, I'm not taking a position on the variance at all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So the hardship, it can be an unusual circumstance that applies to this property that does not apply to other properties. That circumstance is that the average house size around it is smaller than what the zoning requires. Additionally, this property is 0.26 acres. It has a depth of about 89 feet. If you don't they have the ability to, they are owning both properties now, and they can amend that property boundary. But if this property boundary remained the same at a depth of 89 feet, and you've got 65 feet of setback for the rear yard, front yard, you've got a home depth of like, I don't know, 24 feet. So a normal house would not fit in that building envelope. It would need a setback reduction, or it would need other reductions. So, I mean, we don't just apply zoning standards without considering all other factors. Additionally, our comp plan requires a need for affordable housing. That this is affordable housing. We don't. If you can look at one metric and just narrow in on it alone without other extenuating circumstances and reach a conclusion. We're trying to look at a broader picture here and balance the intention of the zoning code, but look at it more holistically. So that's just more clarification from staff's perspective.
Okay. Mr. Jordan, yes.
Thank you. The hardship is I think the point we're really coming down to, because I think most variances are approved based on a legitimate show of a hardship. The gentleman earlier said that maybe the hardship was because if a larger house would be more difficult to maintain, and that's a hardship. And I understand that. I have to maintain a house as well. But the applicants for these homes can be, that's not set. It's not like we have a certain person who owns that property that wants to do. The applicant that will eventually qualify, and here again, I'm an admirer of Habitat for Humanity. I've worked on the houses. I've been a volunteer. It's a great organization. And I'm not saying Habitat can't come in. I'm just saying let's keep the R15. Now, as far as the lot size, my lot size is almost the same size as that house up there. It is a small lot. But also we have to consider that Habitat has bought both properties. They can adjust these and co-join them or do what they need to do to create the size. So here again, the point is, it is important to maintain the R15 standards for this area. No real true hardship has been given in evidence. It's all, this is what we would like, this is what we want, this is what we're planning, and this is why we want to do it. It's not because of anything that is concrete. So just to address the two hardships that were brought forth, they are not strong arguments. Thank you.
Thank you.
The argument that was brought by him a few minutes ago about the depth, the size of the lot, that's kind of shading it a little bit, because the properties were sold together as a package to Habitat for Humanity by the same person, so they knew all along that they could move the property line back, and Habitat for Humanity owns it now, and they know that. So even though it was started as a 0.26 size lot, everyone knew all along that that's a moot argument right there about the setback on that side, on that lot, because they've known all along they were going to adjust the property lines. And I think that if you approve this, you would be voting for a short-term gain, because the properties, they look awful right now, and you look at it and you think, wow, let's just build something. Anything there will look better than what's there, and you get a short-term bump, but I think that it would be a negative impact on the rest of the properties that are going to be I mean, like I say, every year there's more improvements going on there, and you'll be voting for a short-term gain. And I mean, I have no problem with the Habitat for Humanity houses, but I think that it's got a better use. You look at what's being done around Smyrna, and it is a blighted area, but it's going to go up. And I think you'll be voting for a short-term gain at the expense of the long-term assets for the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other additional questions from the staff or the applicant? Any comments or questions? Okay.
Comment that the property boundary has not changed yet. So if this application is denied, Habitat does not have to amend that property boundary, and it'll stay as it is. And in that sense, it does have an impact on this variance case, because anyone that comes after, if they sell this property off, that property is 0.26 acres, and there are unusual circumstances that apply to that property that we will have to, that would be a unique house size that fits on that property, if there is one. There will need to be variances on that structure that's built if that happens. It might not ever be developed. We don't know. But that's the reason I bring it up. Because, yes, they do own both properties now, and they are proposing to change the boundary, but that doesn't mean it's set in stone. If this variance is approved, other situations could occur. So that's it.
Well, at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
Again, with respect to all testimony heard, I'm going to motion to approve various requests V16-039, allow reduction in minimum floor area from 2,015 74 square feet, land lot 445, 903 Wells Circle, Habitat for Humanity of Northwest Atlanta.
I'd like to second the motion that we approve variance request V16039. All in favor, please vote. Again, motion passes 2-1. Next item is a public hearing, variance request V16040, allow reduction of impervious surface setback from 75 feet to 65 feet for construction of a rear deck, land lot 336, 1.013 acres, 4031 Plum Crest Circle. Jason and Melissa McFarland.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Melissa McFarland. My husband, Jason McFarland.
Okay.
We live at 4031 Plum Crest Circle and have for 9 years now. We are currently undergoing a renovation on our home, and as part of this, we would like to add on an elevated back deck to our home. So we are seeking a reduction in the impervious zone from 75 feet to 65 feet in order to build a back deck.
Any questions for the applicant?
So, in front of us on our monitors, we have all the stuff that you guys have submitted to include pictures. So I'm looking at a picture which is titled "Rear of Subject Property," which it's the back of your house, and it looks like it's got kind of a paved lower drive.
Yes.
So with this addition that you guys are proposing, or this new rear deck, will that increase in any way? Is it going to stay? Is it going to go?
It's going to stay as it is.
Okay.
The elevated back deck is going to be on the back of the house.
Mm-hmm.
I think it might be highlighted on your. It's.
Yes.
They're on the back side, so it's actually in the backyard.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, so the picture that I was talking about is titled "Rear of Subject Property," but it might just be because Yeah, but it's actually in the left side of your house with that lower. Okay. That's all.
Okay. You can have a seat on the front row, please. This time we'll have comments by the staff.
Applicant is requesting a reduction in the impervious surface setback from 75 feet to 65 feet. Applicant's requesting to build a 12 by 18 foot elevated deck on the rear of the home. There's a stream that is in the rear of the property. The last 25 feet of that buffer is an impervious setback. It currently, that buffer angles in half of the houses within that buffer currently. But this rear left side of the house is impacted the least. That's where the deck is proposed. We've reviewed it, city engineers reviewed it. We've seen similar requests to this in the past and just made a condition that an equal area be designated outside of the buffer to remain free of impervious materials. And that's what we've recommended on this request. The additional impervious area does not make it exceed the 35% maximum. It's still at like 15.2% max total coverage. And we've reviewed the request and just recommended approval with two conditions. One, approval of the subject property for the requested variance shall be conditioned upon substantial compliance with the site plan submitted with the variance application. Two, the application will record a plat that designates a 225 square foot area outside of the impervious setback, which will remain free of impervious materials to offset the area of encroachment.
Joey, I just wanted to clarify because you mentioned the stream. Just for the sake of the record, we're only contemplating a reduction of the impervious surface setback, just 10 feet, right? So this is not, we're not talking about, again, just for the clarity of the record, we're not talking about a do not disturb area. This is the impervious surface area.
Right. There's 50 feet of undisturbed buffers from the stream.
Right.
And this is well beyond that, 15 feet beyond that, at 65 feet from the stream. So
okay, thank you.
Just in the impervious setback.
Any other questions for the staff? This is a public hearing. If anyone would like to speak regarding this issue, I ask that you please step to the podium at this time. Okay, seeing no one, I'd like to entertain a motion, please. Oh, but just one thing. The applicants, do you accept the two conditions as stated?
We do.
Okay, thank you.
Motion to approve variance request V16-040, allow the reduction of impervious surface setback from 75 feet to 65 feet for the construction of a rear deck. Land lot 336, 1.013 acres, 4031 Plum Crest Circle, with the two conditions. Approval of the subject property for the requested variance shall be conditioned upon the substantial compliance with the site plan submitted with the variance application, and that the applicant will record a plat that designates a 225 square foot area outside of the impervious setback, which will remain free of impervious materials to offset the area of encroachment.
Second motion.
It's been motioned and properly second that we approve variance request V16040. All in favor, please vote. All right, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Next item is a public hearing, variance request V16041, allow reduction of front setback from 23 feet to 10 feet for an addition to a single-family residence, land lot 416449, 0.20 acres, 2704 Sanford Road, Travis Patruzza is the applicant. And for the record, can you state your name and tell us about your first variance request?
Yes, my name is Travis Petruzza, and I'm the resident at 2704 Sanford Road, along with my wife, Elizabeth. The two variance requests sort of bleed together, so I apologize in advance if I go into the second. But we are requesting this variance because we have a hardship of our house was struck by an airborne vehicle. So the house is currently uninhabitable at 2704 Sanford Road. The incident received a fair amount of media coverage. It's also in a prominent thoroughfare across from Campbell High School and not far from Cobb Park. The incident makes our home significantly less marketable, if marketable at all, due to the incident. So we have a family. If we want to grow our family, that may be an impossibility without this variance due to the fact that we may not have the option of moving, assuming we have to sell our home, due to the media coverage of a home striking our daughter's second-story bedroom in the incident in question. So at this time, the home is actually uninhabitable. There's a hole in the house where the proposed house addition is. It would violate the setback, which is why we're requesting the variance, but there is a city right-of-way on that side, not a homeowner, then a street, Powder Springs Street, and then across the street is Campbell High School. So there's no other resident who is going to be impacted adversely in any way by bumping the house out there at the point of impact.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant? All right, we'll have the staff make comments on this first variance request.
The applicant is requesting a reduction of the front setback from 23 feet to 10 feet at 2704 Sanford Road. Subject property is roughly 8,700 square feet. This is R15, which the minimum lot size should be 15,000 square feet. So it's about half of the area of a normal R15 lot. And it's a corner lot. So the Sanford Road side has a 35-foot front setback. The Powder Springs side has a 23-foot side or setback. And by that, a disproportionate amount of this property is yard, meaning unbuildable because of setbacks. So we, in our analysis, that to us is the hardship that if it were not a corner lot, then this new construction would be consistent with the 10-foot side setback. Or if it was a larger lot, there would be more area where a setback reduction probably would not be needed. The applicant's proposing an additional bedroom, and it's two-story addition, so bedroom and I guess living area at the bottom level. It will be about 10 feet from the Powder Springs property line, and about 16 feet from back of curb at the nearest point. It sort of angles away, or there's an angle to it because the house is parallel to Sanford Road. So we've reviewed the request. We've recommended approval with one condition, one condition. Approval of the requested variance shall be conditioned upon substantial compliance with the site plan and elevation submitted with the variance application.
For the applicant, do you accept the one condition as stated?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions for the staff? This is a public hearing. If anyone would like to speak regarding this issue, I ask that you please step to the podium at this time. Seeing no one, I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
Motion to approve variance request V16-041 to allow reduction of front setback from 23 to 10 feet for an addition to a single-family residence land lot 416 and 449.2 acres, 2704 Sanford Road for Travis Petruzza, with the one condition as read into record by staff.
Second.
It's been motioned and properly second that we approve variance request V16041. All in favor, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Next item is a public hearing, variance request V16042. Allow 5.5 foot brick privacy wall along Powder Spring Street, land lot 416-449, 0.20 acres, 2704 Sanford Road. Travis Petruzza is the applicant.
So our application for this, my name's Travis Petruzza, again, the homeowner. Our application for this variance arises out of the same incident. This is part of an effort which we've actually been conducting also with the city engineer's office to avoid a similar incident in the future. So the brick wall will violate the height standards for a fence facing that road, but due to what the fence is designed to do, it's not merely a decorative fence, but it's designed to be a force aversion fence.
So it's going to stop a car?
Well, it won't stop a car going 70 miles an hour like the last one, but maybe a car going significantly slower, which is why we've been working with the city engineer's office, right? It's not a fortress wall, but it will provide us some protection, which will give us at least a feeling of safety, if not a fact of safety, to move back into the home, which, as I mentioned, is currently uninhabitable.
I just had a quick comment. You mentioned it received a lot of media attention. It certainly did that. Our crews had to respond to the incident, and just we're certainly glad that you and your family were unscathed in the incident, and hopefully these mitigative measures, if approved, would prevent. Hopefully, it won't ever be needed. But should a similar situation arise, hopefully, if approved, this would help significantly.
Yes, we hope so too. Thank you.
Joey?
Applicants requesting to allow a 5.5 foot brick privacy wall along Powder Spring Street. We've seen similar variances. We've approved the exact same variance further up Powder Spring Street, but we regularly see 6 foot privacy fences. And our major concern is, that it doesn't just become a wall, or it doesn't look like it's a monotonous structure, and that there is some buffering between the structure and the street. This property that's got existing vegetation along Powder Spring Street, it will have decorative elements, so it's not. We don't have a concern that it'll just be a monotonous structure, unappealing structure. So, and we do believe that it has some merit given this circumstance. So therefore, we've recommended approval of this request. The city engineers reviewed it. There's with the location of it being off the road and a few feet off the property line, there's no site visibility issues that we've identified. So we've recommended approval of the request.
Any questions for the staff? All right, this is a public hearing. If anyone would like to speak regarding this issue, I ask that you please step to the podium at this time. Seeing no one, I would like to entertain a motion, please.
Motion to approve variance request V16-042. Allow 5.5 foot brick privacy wall along Powder Spring Street, land lot 416, 449.20 acres, 2704 Sanford Road, with a condition that approval of this variance request be conditioned upon the substantial compliance with the site plan and elevations submitted with the variance application.
Second motion.
It's been motioned and properly second that we approve variance request V16042. All in favor, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Next item is approval of minutes for June 22nd, 2016, License and Variance Board.
Motion to approve the minutes from June 22nd, 2016 License and Variance Board meeting.
It's been motioned and properly second that we approve the meeting minutes for June 22nd, 2016. All in favor, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. I'd like to declare this meeting adjourned at 11:01 a.m. Thank you.